死なないために死ぬほど準備することなんて絵に秘めあらたことでしょう。光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。
Hello guys, it's me Simo Urahara, and in this video I will talk about one of the parts of the Soul King, the left hand Pernida, because the background of his character is one of the most bleached puzzles, since Pernida has a direct relationship with Reio, or rather, he is part of Reio. For example, we know that Mimihagi has fallen a long time ago from the Riot Palace and settled in one of the Rokungai areas, and then its fate was linked to Ukitake. Mimihagi also seemed to support the Shinigami, and this goes with the idea that Reio is the king of the souls, and more than that we can say he is the king of the Shinigami. All the Shinigami are loyal to him or consider his presence necessary, so we will automatically understand the idea of Mimihagi defending Reio. But all the mystery is Pernida. It has identified itself as a Quincy from the very beginning, and therefore it didn't recognize the existence of Reio as a Shinigami. So, based on that, when did Pernida consider itself as a Quincy? This remains one of the most important outstanding questions regarding this character. This is why in this video I will try to answer these questions by telling you some of my own thoughts on this topic. First of all, when we talk about Pernida, we are automatically talking about Reio, the king of the souls, who is considered a multi-powered being. And he is also a person who was living in the original world, and based on the wishes of the noble ancestors, he divided the original world to the known worlds. And when we look at the story of Reio and how the worlds of Bleach were formed, you will automatically pose the question, did Reio want those changes of the ancestors, or he was forced to? Did he want, for example, to stay in the original world, but the will of the ancestors was stronger than his will? For that, I said in a previous video that perhaps the contradictory desires that Reio was experiencing was formed later in his hands, with a special awareness, a desire that wants to change and what the Shinigami wants, and this desire was formed in the form of Mimihagi, and another hand that wants the original world as it is, and it's Pernida, which is the left hand. And whether that was Rio's desire or not, what we know is that Pernida was never satisfied with the current world, and it wanted the original world. But the strange thing here, that its ability was inconsistent with what it wanted. For example, Pernida's ability is progress, while it wanted things to remain as they were. It wanted to return to the original world. I don't know if there would have been another kind of progress, another path of the original world, but Pernida, unlike Mimihagi, didn't line up with the Shinigami. I think that in the beginning, when both hands were cut off by the ancestors, as soon as Pernida became aware of itself, it decided not to remain under the authority of the Shinigami. And we don't know, frankly, which the noble family took the left hand in the beginning. This is also one of the mysterious things that we don't know. It was only said that each ancestor took a certain part of the Soul King, when we don't know who took Mimihagi, who took Pernida, and who took the heart and the rest of the organs. But whoever the family that took Pernida from the start wasn't thinking it belongs to anyone. It considered itself Quincy from the start. Of course, here another question will pop up. Why did Pernida consider itself Quincy? The answer is actually Pernida has all the right to say it's a Quincy, because we had a wrong perception about the Soul King just because the Shinigami protects him and consider him the linchpin of the worlds, so he is a Shinigami? I don't think so. And a lot of Shinigami think the same way. Mayuri thought that it's shame for Pernida to consider itself a Quincy, since it's the left hand of the Soul King. But the reality is something else. The Soul King is not a Shinigami and is not a Quincy. He is both. He has Quincy power and Shinigami power. So it's logically that one of his parts will inherit from him the Quincy power. And we can say that the only two who have this power directly from him are Yhwach. Either he is his son or an incarnation of his power. And Pernida, since it's his left hand. And I can't put Gerard with these two, because Gerard was bestowed the heart of the Soul King, and he is not an incarnation of the Soul King's heart, unlike Pernida and Mimihagi. But the other mystery related to Pernida is that we don't know when it left the Shinigami and became wandering alone, and we also don't know when it met with Yhwach. Did Pernida meet Yhwach during the flashback of Busby in Hashveld, or a long time ago? We don't know, but I think that Pernida may have considered Yuhabach to be the current king, since Reio has been sealed, and if Yuhabach was really Rio's son, it is possible that it saw him worthy of loyalty, and it can trust him, because both Pernida and Yuhabach shared the same goal and motives. They both wanted to bring back the original world as it was. For this, I do think if we had a chance to watch the flashback between Yuhabach and Pernida and how they have met, that could have been one of the greatest flashback ever. The first meeting between Yuhabach, who considered himself as the son of Reio, and Pernida, which is the left hand of Reio. And I don't know if Pernida was able to speak at that time and if it had its human form when it met Yuhabach. But what I'm sure of is that meeting would have given us a lot of information about the true identity of Yuhabach and who he is. And so all we know is Pernida didn't get any additional power from Yuhabach because it already was possessing its powers. It just got a symbolic gift from Yuhabach. And what's more interesting about Pernida, I think is the only part of the Soul King that we know it has a human form. Although Kobo said it was an imperfect human form, but it was clear it has one. Maybe it developed it to live within people. And I'm speaking about the era before Pernida met Yuhabach. So this is also one of the things that I want to see. Its imperfect form, did it take it the form of a woman or a man or something else? On the other hand, in the battle of Pernida against Mayuri, we learned several important facts about Pernida, and among them it's that Pernida identified itself as a Quincy, and that it was a Quincy from the beginning. It's true that I have said Pernida's ability is contradictory with its will, but the ability itself is very terrifying, the ability of evolve and advancement, and it appeared in many forms when he fought Mayuri, like Pernida's use of nerves to gather information about things, which enable it to copy the abilities of things and people and reach their level power. Mayuri said that if Pernida reached Zaraki's level of strength, he would have been in a big trouble. Pernida was also able to copy Mayuri's Bankai, so the self-replication, regeneration, and reconstitution of itself, all of these abilities that make it unable to be defeated, except for his exposure to self-destruction due to eating Nemo. Other than that, I don't know how it will be defeated, but one of the things that I like the most about Pernida is its use of Quincy techniques like arrows, and also its pride in being Quincy. And these things we didn't see much with Minish Generator. Some of them were so reliant on the abilities given them by Yuhabach, to the point that if you saw them without knowing who they are, you wouldn't know they are Quincy, because they simply don't fight with any ability that gives you the idea they are Quincy, unlike Pernida, Kilgi OP, even Askin Naklovar. So guys, what do you think about Pernida? I really want to see a flashback of it meeting with Yuhabach. So tell me your opinion and see you in my next video.